What's going on, guys? RBG here, bringing you more coverage on Transformers Reactivate. As the days roll on, we get more and more news in the form of leaks, which gets me extremely excited to give my thoughts on these things. Now, obviously, not everything we see represents what will be in the final version, but it's just nice to get a general idea of what will make the cut. So today we're going to take a look at stuff like the maps as well as weapons that may or may not appear in the game. Now, before we dive into today's topic, I want to give a major thanks to our sponsor, Bespoke Post. They're a monthly membership club delivering a box of awesome in the form of top shelf goods from under the radar brands. It's free to join and you can skip a month or cancel anytime. 90% of the products come from small brands, many of which are based right here in the US. We're talking brands such as Barebones from Salt Lake City, who crafted this awesome knife from their Terra kit. This blade is essentially the ultimate tool and does about everything, such as hammering with its reinforced pommel base. And it comes with a base-like detox scrub bar. I mean, beauty and utility go hand in hand, am I right? And there's the Damascus knife made by Bucking Bear Knives located in Pennsylvania. A razor sharp blade that comes with a premium leather sheath for extra safety and protection while you're on the go. Bespoke Post introduces their members to cool new products such as outdoor gear, barware, home and kitchen goods, clothing, and more based on a preference quiz you fill out. And every box of awesome has around $70 worth of goods inside but costs you only a fraction of the value. And you can preview your box before it's shipped. That's right, you'll get a box of awesome assigned to you, and before it's shipped you'll get a preview of what comes inside to decide if you like to 1. Keep it, 2. Swap it out for a different box, or 3. Skip the month entirely for no charge. You only pay for what you want. So yeah, you should definitely check it out. By clicking the link in the description and entering the checkout code, you can get 20% off your first box of awesome. But yeah, guys, as I was saying, we have some major things to go over. As you know, Transformers Reactivate has been in the development oven for quite some time. We're talking 5 years at the very least. And shortly before the game was officially revealed, we began getting these leaks showing things that might be in the game as well as things that never left the cutting room floor. There's a lot of things that the devs thought about, which is a good sign that they're treating this project on the same level as those of the Fall of Cybertron games. Those titles were made with a lot of love from passionate Transformers fans, and nothing has really come close to their level of detail. I know some of you are gonna bring up TF Devastation, which, don't get me wrong, it was an excellent game, but it's a pretty straightforward beat 'em up title with a very short campaign. There wasn't much under the hood when it came to features, which made it feel like it was lacking certain things. It also didn't help that Activision didn't really give Platinum Games enough time to fully realize their vision, and they would continue to be restricted by those tight development windows, causing other Activision related titles such as TMNT Mutants in Manhattan and The Legend of Korra to be duds. So Transformers Devastation was the only game that managed to slide by with a positive reception, but it didn't quite hit the same strides of titles like Fall of Cybertron. I would like to think that the developers of Transformers Reactivate have that in mind while working on this game, and I must say that they seem to at least have their finger on the pulse of what fans want, at least in terms of the designs, because these things look really good. It's almost like they got the concept designers from the Bumblebee movie to work on all the Transformers, because they look like they could fit well within that cinematic universe, but they stand out just enough to be their own unique thing. Like, they aren't necessarily riding the coattails of the films like so many others have done. We don't see Bumblebee with the annoying mouth radio. As a matter of fact, we don't see him with the typical evergreen design that's been used in a lot of modern Transformers media like TF Cyberverse and Earthspark. Everything just looks fresh and really grounded. Like, these characters are gonna have to adapt to their surroundings. New York is gonna be one of the main maps, but there are other areas that will be tailored to specific characters. Speaking of maps, I want you guys to take a look at this expansive map. Like, these things seem to be really grand in scale. It looks like we're gonna have free reign over the entire planet Earth, which is a big plus, because each location is going to come with their own elements, and as you know, this Legion virus will be zombifying all the technology, so depending on where you are in the world, the enemy types will vary. Based on the leaked documents, we'll be doing missions in Antarctica, so you can bet to see an ice type enemy. But anyways, besides Antarctica and New York, which is already going to be a huge metropolitan location, we now have the confirmation of Chicago. As you see, the entire continent is highlighted in yellow, while the other continent to the east is highlighted in red on this map. And this probably means that one is active or selected while the other is not or hasn't been unlocked. I can see there being certain mission chains and requirements that need to be completed in order to progress to other locations. And since we're on the topic of missions, this picture suggests that each mission / sector will boast rewards such as weapons. So this is essentially echoing a similar style to games like Destiny. where we get these expansive maps that will come in the form of quests, raids, and sectors. Like, you can see all the different mission types in this map titled The Long and Winding Road that features an hourglass icon. In this particular mission, you'll have to survive what I'm guessing will be endless waves of nano zombies known as the Twisted. Now, before we move on to the other leaked images, I want to briefly harp on something regarding the red highlighted zone on this map. As mentioned earlier, this could mean the location isn't available, but if you notice, it features a word in Cybertronian text or Cybertronics, and when translated it means soul system. I'm not sure about you guys, but I have a nagging suspicion that we'll be traveling beyond our Terran terrain. We could possibly be heading out into the solar system and other parts of the galaxy to combat the key source of the Legion. I know it's a little early to throw that suspicion out there, especially given the very pre-alpha nature of these images, but don't be surprised if warping to space is an actual thing. But moving on, we gotta talk about the weapons that could possibly appear in the final product, or they could have been completely cut because the screenshots I'm about to show you guys feature the old working title named Transformers Impact along with the name Certain Affinity, which was the first original development team who has since moved on from the project. Anyways, as we know, blasters have always been an ancillary aspect of the Transformers, especially in the games. We've seen games like the PS2 Armada title diversify its gameplay with different types of blasters, and the Cybertron games took it to a whole other level with the way they made the blasters feel extraterrestrial yet familiar. Like, I loved how you could pick up a weapon and it transforms into the robot's arm in Transformers Fall of Cybertron. It's something we see a lot in the live action movies, but it looks like Transformers Reactivate could be taking it back to the basics, where we actually see the bots carrying these guns in their hands as opposed to merging them onto their body. Like, for example, we have a rifle called the Shock Carbine. In some of the screenshots you can find characters such as Bumblebee wielding one. And there's this screenshot where we see that Starscream has acquired one after successfully completing a mission. The detail on these things look really good, like it has that grounded in realism aesthetic that matches with the game's overall tone. I particularly like how you can see the Cybertronian encryptions on some of them, which leads me to believe that not all weapons will be made specifically by the Transformers. I'm pretty sure that there are going to be a few human-made blasters thrown into the mix, because it's been implied that the Earthlings have been salvaging a lot of leftover Cybertronian tech and repurposing them for different things. I feel like that will explain why certain weapons feature different elements, because as you see, this game's inventory will feature blasters that boast different effects, such as the magnetic grenade launcher, which sounds like it will shoot out grenades that pull in nearby enemies, and you have other weapons such as the Scorcher, which is pretty self-explanatory. Anyways, besides the blasters, we have something I'm super excited about, and that's the melee weapons. Now, this is something that isn't always prominent in Transformers titles. I don't even think the Cybertron games feature specific melee weapons. Like, each character just had one melee attack and that was it. I'd say the most recent game that put emphasis on this aspect is Devastation, which implemented things such as giant hammers and swords for characters like Optimus and Grimlock. So it's good to see melee weapons make a return to true form. It's undoubtedly gonna add more diversity to the combat. The only thing that I'm wondering in regards to the gameplay is if there'll be a compromise. I know certain characters are built to be a close quarters bruiser, while others are more keep away zoners. So I'm just wondering if we'll have to choose between blasters or melee weapons, or if you'll be able to utilize both and switch between the two. Whatever the case may be, everything seems to have a lot of detail and passion added into it. Since this is an online game that'll feature some kind of leveling system, I think it's safe to assume that the weapon drops will vary depending on the level of your character. Like, I can see things being classified as rare or exotic gear, and the player will have to mix and match things to get certain status effects. I can see these Energon gauntlets being something that will take a lot of work to acquire. But yeah, everything seems to be on the up and up with this title. I just want you guys to keep in mind that some of these elements may or may not make the final cut. So all we can do is wait until we get an official confirmation from Splash Damage themselves. Until then, I want to know what you think about all this. Are you liking the different weapons? Let me know down in the comments below. As always, I asked you like or dislike the video. It can be a thumbs up or a thumbs down. But if you really enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you shared it with all your friends and family members on all the different social media outlets. Sharing really makes a difference. Anyways, this is your boy RBG signing out on another video. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.